Good evening, everyone. I'm Nathan, here with my wonderful wife, Laura.
Hello!
And we're here to do a review of the classic Roman game, Tabula.
We think.
Yes. So it looks like a V, but we think it's a U, but it's just old, Roman sort of font sort of thing.
Yes, so we're going to call it Tabula. If we are wrong, please let us know, but we weren't quite sure. So that's what we're going with because they've written Tabula with a U on the back when describing it, so that makes more sense.
It's obviously based on an old sort of Roman game from hundreds of years ago.
More. So this is actually meant to be the precursor to backgammon. So it's been around for a very long time.
1st century AD.
Yes, I was going to say, you're looking down here with the Emperor Claudius, AD 41 to 54.
He said he was so fond of the game he had a board fixed to his chariot so he could play while travelling.
Yes, so that gives you some idea of how long this has been around. Obviously, this is a more modern version of it. Well, I say modern. It's 2023 when we're filming this, and this was released in 1990, I believe.
Yeah, look, it's a timeless game.
Yes. Now, the shape of the historic version of this game was more of a rectangle with two paths that go around.
Almost like a cribbage board or something.
More that shape,
yeah.
Or more like a backgammon board that we would know today. They've made it in a square version. This actually says this in the instructions, by the way, because it looked better for board game purposes. So
yeah, well, and it also fits in a nice little box run, like a really long one or something.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, traditionally it was a different shape, but the gameplay is still the same.
So you have a whole bunch of...
There is the other side of the board. Nathan's just tacked it under our backdrop.
Yeah, a whole bunch of numbers. I think it was 1 to 24.
Yep.
All in Roman numerals, and the aim, like backgammon, is to get all your stones from one side, the start, to
the end.
The end of the board.
Yep. These corner pieces here are for decorative purposes only. You cannot move on them at any point through the game. So this is 2 players only, just like backgammon is, and you each assume one particular colour. You can either be blue or green.
And depending on which colour you get the blue, you get the unicorn.
Unicorn is blue, yep, and on the other side is the green.
It's like a gazelle or a deer or something.
It is a gazelle, yep. So you have a left and a right triangle for each of the animals. That's because you start with all your stones on one side and finish with them on the other side, so you can keep track.
Like backgammon, once you finish them, get them home, usually in backgammon you sort of put them in like little slots.
Yep.
Here you just put them on
your other unicorn or gazelle.
Corner. Yeah.
So these are the pieces.
Yeah, these are just like, I can't remember, they've got a specific name, but it's little glass little stones.
Like decorative ones that you see in the bottom of like vases.
Yeah, or like fish tanks or whatever it may be.
Yeah, stuff like that.
So obviously you got blue and green.
Yep.
Not much else to say about the stones.
No, they don't stack well, which may not seem important, but it will as we move along and explain the game.
Yeah, so, I mean, backgammon, you can put more pieces on like one row by just sort of lining them up. But yeah, it's a bit different here.
They're curved tops. That's the issue. All right, so say we were setting up to play. Whoever is green and playing as the gazelle would get all of their green stones and put on this left side over here. So if you want to sort those out.
Greenies.
So blue then theoretically should be sitting across the other side of the table from you so that they can then have the unicorn one on their left and then that would be there right over there. So then we have 2 dice.
They 1 to 6, but in Roman numerals, so I hope you better have learnt that from your primary school days.
Yes, indeed. So if you're not good with your Roman numerals, I suppose this could be a good way to learn because you have to, otherwise you won't know where to move.
Correct.
All right, so the idea of the game is to roll, move your stones starting at 1, go around through all the numbers and get them off the end of the board onto the other triangle animal on your side. So you take it in turns to roll both dice.
So it's that 4 and 4.
Okay, well that wasn't a good one to start with. Hang on. So say you got a 4 and a 1. We'll get to the doubles in a minute. If you roll a 4 and a 1 and you were playing as green, you want to get them started on the board using those numbers. You cannot add them together in any way.
No, they're separate. They act as separate moves per dice.
Yes.
Like backgammon.
Exactly. So I can either take 1 green off my starting space here and go to 1, and then put another one on the 4 because I've come in 1, 2, 3, 4. Or if I wanted to, I could go 1 and then 1, 2, 3, 4. I realise that looks like I'm adding them together, but technically I've taken them as separate moves. Turns.
And obviously you can only do that if it's a valid move, which we'll discuss shortly.
As we get moving, yep. So then the other player would have their turn as well. We're not going to do a full playthrough because it can take a little while.
So that's 1 and 5, so I'd go maybe 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Now, so I opted, let's pretend, to move the 1 and then 4 added on top of that. Nathan has now landed on me and I only have 1 stone there, so he actually is going
banished
to capture.
To the shadow realm.
He's captured my stone. That then goes into the centre of the board and Nathan's turn's over because he's used both the die numbers.
And you need to get that out first before you can make any other moves.
Yes, so I would roll and need to get that back in. So the same as you would if you've captured someone in backgammon. You may notice a difference between this and backgammon though, is that we've both started in the same place. Backgammon, one person is going one way, the other one is going the other way.
So you sort of intersect sort of midway through the board.
You cross over in the middle.
With this one, you're on the same, it's like a snakes and ladders board. You're just going the same direction.
Yeah. So I would roll the dice and I need to come back in with whatever has been captured before I can move any of these ones onto the board. So in this case, I rolled a 6 and a 1. So again, I could opt to use the 6 or the 1 to come back in as long as I do it first.
And if you got the 1 and I happen to be here, the same thing would go to me and I'd go into the middle.
I would capture Nathan. Yep. If I was trying to come back in after I'd been captured, but perhaps Nathan had been just bringing everybody in, I would need to roll one of the numbers where Nathan is not.
If you didn't roll any of those numbers, your turn's forfeit.
Yes.
You can't make a valid move, it goes to the next person.
Because you can't land on the other player if there's more than 1 stone on that space.
Which is the same as backgammon. If you have more sort of lined up on each space, that becomes a space that you can't.
You're safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anything from 2 onwards. I mean, you could have every stone on the 1 space if you wanted to, if that's how the dice rolled for you. Any is valid. Obviously, if there's only 1, you're not protected though.
No. So you want to try and lot them up if you can to protect those stones.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're going to be constantly getting captured. So we would go backwards and forwards and keep doing.
So go this and I roll, what is it, a 3 and a 4. So 1, 2, 3.
Yep, not counting those decorative
1, 2, 3,
ones.
4. Da da da. Go all the way along here. Say you've got some here too.
Yep. So you make your way all the way around the 4 sides of the board. When you're on this side, 24 here is the last space. You don't then continue back around this side to number 1. What you actually want to do then is try and win the game. There's a particular name.
Yeah, there is. Bearing
off stones. So you want to bear off your stones, which means complete the game with them.
So basically.
So that's not captured. Let's pretend.
So if I roll here and I roll a 4 and a 5, I can go 1, 2.
And then you're off, so you don't count this space.
Which
like
then
Nathan
goes
just
here.
looked like he did.
I said 1, 2, and I go 1, 2, 3.
But so he had higher numbers. So as long as your number that you roll is higher than what you need to get you past 24, you can then bear off your stones and you pop them on the right hand side, either on the unicorn or gazelle.
The other major difference between this and regular backgammon is that you don't have to have all your pieces in this home run to start bearing off or getting them off.
No. So to start being able to bear off, you do have to have all of your stones on the board somewhere. There can't be any in your left impala or left unicorn. So like Nathan, how we had this set up, couldn't have.
No, technically that's invalid because if I didn't have all these out.
Yeah.
If I had all these out, then even if these were all at the start, and I had just a few over in the sort of end zone, I could get all those out if I wanted.
You can start bearing those off, yep. If you then get captured while you're in the middle of trying to bear things off at the end, again, same rules apply. You have to get back out on the board with your next roll before you can continue to bear any off. They must all be in play.
And you can also have more than one of your things in here.
Yeah, maybe someone's been really lucky and you have not, and they have captured lots of you. You have to work on getting all of them back into play.
But what happens if I roll a double? Say I roll 2 5s.
Yep. So if you roll a double, instead of just having a 5 and a 5, you actually get them both twice. So each dice would be a 5 and a 5. So 4 5s in total.
In other words,
that was a lot of 5s.
I can move one. If you get 2 6s, theoretically, you could almost bear off
Well,
right from the start.
except you can't if you didn't have any.
Technically not, but no.
So if you rolled a double 5, just as an example, you could go 1 2 3 4 5, and then 1 2 3 4 5. That's 2, but then you get that same thing again. So you could continue 1 2 3 4 5, 2 3 4 5, and like capture someone. Doubles are great because if you do have a couple in the same space, it keeps them together because you're moving them together, so no one can come and capture them.
Which is the same rules as in backgammon.
Exactly. It's very, very similar to backgammon. Let's be honest. I love backgammon, so I was really excited to find that this was quite similar. I'm not sure we need a copy of both per se. It's one of those things that, aside from the aesthetics, and this is a square rather than a rectangle, and those few minor changes, the gameplay really isn't that different, even though they look different.
The major thing is both starting from the same section rather than opposite ends.
Yep. This, by the way, the instructions, I don't think we mentioned, we will have a scan of that via the link of instructions down below.
Oh, look, it says, look, it's the front. It's got a V instead of the U.
Yeah. On the back here, it actually includes the history of the game, kind of where it came from, and gives you an example of what the board historically looked like. But then, for aesthetic reasons only, they've put it around a square.
Plays the same way.
It does. So, I would say it's a really interesting game. Obviously, this is meant to be where backgammon came from, so it's a nice little historic piece. But again, if you like one, you don't necessarily need to own
No,
both.
I'm just wondering, like, if you really like backgammon, you probably have a backgammon set.
Which we do. Yeah, we have a nice one.
I don't know if this is quite different enough to warrant both of them.
That's what I'm saying. So, the other thing I touched on earlier was if you wanted to have a lot on the same space. I played a game of this with my mum recently, who enjoys backgammon, so I thought she might enjoy this as well. I just happened to have a whole bunch of my stones on the same spot. I just kept rolling numbers that put me in the same place. Now, that kind of becomes an issue because of the rounded tops. Like, I had like this and it was starting to spill out, so I wouldn't play this somewhere where if you knock the board, they're going to fall off each other.
So, not in a roller coaster, not in a car if you're driving.
Well, no, you shouldn't do that anyway.
Or deep sea diving.
No, probably not good places to play any board game, let's be honest. But just keep that in mind. It doesn't happen every game. It's just the game we happen to have.
It's just a quirk of the design, yeah.
Exactly. Whereas a backgammon set, you wouldn't have that because the tops of them are flat. So, just an observation. If you've enjoyed watching this video, give us a thumbs up. Let us know in the comment section down below. Do you like playing backgammon? Would you pick this to play over backgammon, maybe? Or would you like to have both? Just out of curiosity.
Then again, if you really like backgammon, maybe you want something slightly different. They're still backgammoning.
Maybe you just want to look at some brightly coloured rocks while you play.
We're making this distinction yet. How many Unos do we own?
Some. No, I don't know. They are very similar. You've probably seen how similar they are with how we've explained it. I think I already said something about subscribing. Did I? No.
Subscribe. We have videos at least once a week.
Yes, plus all the ones we already have up on the channel.
Yes.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.